Before Evan knew the truth, I left with my luggage. Unfortunately, as the elevator door opened, I bumped into Lone Screen. "Hey, Kira?" She smiled and glanced at my suitcase. "Are you leaving? Didn't you spend the night at Evan's place last night?" Ding! Wisnovel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. How did she know? Lone suddenly blocked the doorway and whispered in my ear. "Do you really think Evan likes you? Of course, he's just getting back at you. After sleeping with you, he will make fun of you in front of us." Feeling a sinking in my heart, I pushed her hand away and walked forward with my luggage. Lone chuckled from behind. "You are just a high school girl fooling around in the restroom. Face the reality." The last sentence hit a nerve. I abruptly stopped in my tracks. After a while, I turned around and walked towards Lone, who was smirking. A crisp slap echoed through the entire lobby a few seconds later. Lone was stunned by my slap. She held her swollen cheek, unable to believe it. "How dare you hit me? I should have done it a long time ago." The anger I had suppressed for years finally burst out at this moment. "Lone Screen, no matter how famous you become, in my eyes, you are still a fool who spreads rumors." Lone's eyes gradually turned cold. "Is that so? Then look behind you. See who they believe more, you or me." I turned around. The flashing lights made the lobby as bright as day. The crowd, like locusts, engulfed me. "Miss Kira, an anonymous informant said you fooled around in the men's restroom in high school. Is it true? Your classmates say you graduated from college, but the truth is, you dropped out of high school long ago. Is that true? Did you spend the night in Evan Murray's room last night? Did you lie to him?" Old stories suddenly resurfaced. The healed scab was torn off, revealing a bloody wound. I felt like I had suddenly gone back to that day many years ago. Lone Screen stood in a bright office, brazenly slandering me. "Teacher, I want to report Kira Depp. That condom, she used it with someone else in the restroom." Years later, she repeated the same trick, trying to force me out in this way. Lone Screen behind me covered her face. "Don't spread rumors. Even though she dropped out of high school, her private life is not for you to discuss. Please respect the privacy of girls." The crowd was suddenly stirred up. Just now, Kira Depp slapped Lone Screen, and she's still defending her. "So you really did drop out of high school? Get lost." Suddenly, in the crowd, I saw Evan returning with breakfast. He seemed to have stood there for a long time. In the continuous clicking of shutters, he gently asked, "You lied to me, didn't you?" I didn't know how I managed to say that yes word. I stood in front of everyone like a clown, facing everyone's accusations with a blank expression. My hands clenched into fists. "It's okay. I never really had anything, so I'm not afraid of losing it." "You liar. Go to hell." Suddenly, a mineral water bottle flew towards me. At the moment before it hit my forehead, Evan pushed through the crowd and shielded me from the bottle. The whole place immediately erupted in gasps. The chattering journalists suddenly stopped. After all, Evan's attitude determined the direction of the gossip reports. Evan suddenly chuckled self-deprecatingly. "Kira Depp, why do you always lie to me? You know, I like you, yet you treat me like a fool." I forced a grimace, calmly saying, "I'm sorry." Lone said, "Evan, I didn't expect her to suddenly slap me. Don't blame her." At that moment, I humorously wondered if Evan would slap me too. Evan raised his eyes and softly uttered a few words. "If she hit you, then you must have done something wrong." As his words fell, gasps echoed around him, because this was the first time Evan had shown a different side in public. After speaking, he grabbed my icy hand. His tone was extremely calm, chillingly so. "It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter what you do." Fans let out incredulous shouts. "Evan Murray, come to your senses. Don't tell me you're in love." It turned out that Evan had indeed gone mad. In front of all the media, he led me away from the scene. Evan Murray's elopement news hit the hot search. Under his post, there were cries of sorrow. Many people in the comment section supported Lone Screen. "It's really not worth it for Lone Screen. She quietly guarded Evan Murray for so many years, and he ran away with another woman." Fortunately, most fans remained neutral. Evan has always acted with reason. Is there something hidden behind this? Don't worry, Evan. We'll wait for your news. We all trust you. At this moment, the car stopped at a deserted beach. Evan was on the phone. "Yes, postpone the announcement. I don't care how others see it." I looked out the window, feeling a bit absent-minded. It seemed like no one had ever told me that it didn't matter how I was. I suddenly remembered that nightmare-like afternoon. Someone found a used condom in the men's restroom. I stood in the teacher's office. The setting sun bathed my shoulders in light. Lone Screen sobbed softly. I saw Kira entering the men's restroom. I argued incredulously. "That's because you told me Evan fainted in the restroom, but when I went, I didn't find him." Lone Screen widened her eyes. "I didn't. Kira, you're secretly dating someone. Don't pin it on me." Evan sat in the car, listening to me talk about the past, his brow furrowing deeply. "For baseless accusations, why should they make you drop out of school?" "Because my dad gambled and racked up a lot of debt. He heard the teacher mention this, insisted that I was violated in the school's men's restroom, demanded the school pay $20,000 in compensation, or else he would make it public. And Lone Screen was willing to testify for my dad. It can be said that, in this matter, Lone Screen and my dad were both culprits." Evan's expression turned cold. "You left school a month early at that time. It was dropping out. Years later, when that old story was brought up, it still hurt me. Clearly, my academic performance was among the best, but everything changed since my dad got addicted to gambling. On the last day, when I went to school to pack up my things, I found your love letter. Speaking of this, my voice surprisingly remained calm. My dad was going to find you, saying $200 could buy me for a night. So I tore it up in front of you. I'm sorry for calling you a poor student, but if he knew you were wealthy and said those vulgar words in front of you, I'd rather die. Evan turned his head to look out the window. His hand on the steering wheel was veined with tension. After a while, he took a deep breath and picked up his phone again, sent a text message, then put it down. I got it. Kira, I got it. He repeated twice, suddenly covering his face. I looked at the foggy window for a while before sluggishly taking out my phone, wanting to check Evan's Instagram comments. Evan casually grabbed the phone and threw it on the back seat. Don't look at random stuff. I asked, is it a big deal? Not a big deal, but I knew not everyone was patient enough to listen to me like Evan. I thought for a moment and said, I want to go back. Being with someone like me will drag you down. Evan chuckled. Kira Depp, are you planning to run away after sleeping with me? Not possible. Especially after you told me all these things. Do you think I would let you go? I hesitated. Your fans all like Lone Screen. I contacted her because Lone Screen said she could get information on you and help me pursue you. Evan's tone was cold, not needed now. I thought seriously, I still want to leave. I need to clean up some messes first. After I'm done, can I come find you? If Evan publicly announced our relationship, his career would definitely be affected. I didn't want a day in the future when we argued and Evan blurted out, I gave up everything for you. Living someone else's life is too hard. I took his phone and said, password 0719. Surprisingly, it was my birthday. I was stunned, lowered my head again, and posted a dynamic on his Instagram. Weary just friends. Evan took back his phone and saw my message. The atmosphere in the car suddenly quieted down. The sound of rain outside the window started to patter. I forgot. I'm still not in good standing now. A hint of regret flashed across his face. But you can regularly bring the child over. I have enough staff here to help take care of him. Did he think I was a divorced parent? Thank you, but I don't have. What time is your flight? Evan hastily interrupted me, afraid of hearing my rejection. 7:30. Okay, I'll drive you. The light rain in the sky became denser, and the car drove into the airport. I took out a small umbrella from my bag. When getting off the car, Evan suddenly stopped me. Kira, am I a disappointment in your heart? Looking into his deep, calm eyes, I smiled and said, you are very good, so good that I feel like I can never measure up to you. Due to Evan Murray's post on his homepage, the situation quickly calmed down. The comment section returned to its usual peaceful state. Fans earnestly advised him, Evan, you should stay with Lone Screen. Promise me, don't go looking for that bad woman anymore, okay? I resigned from the company, preparing to take the postgraduate entrance exam. As the year-end approached, I received a generous year-end bonus. I boarded the bus heading home. Actually, I didn't want to go back, but there was an old photo left by my grandmother at home. I wanted to take things away this year and never come back again. On New Year's Eve, the festive atmosphere was already strong. Several children chased each other, throwing firecrackers on the ground. I walked to the rundown residential building and saw my things lying in the snow. From upstairs came my father's angry shouts. I'm not someone's kept man. I'm a man. I don't sell myself. Tell me, who posted my information online? I'll say it again. I don't sell myself. Fuck your $200. Go to hell. I stood downstairs, listening for a while, then called Evan. It seems like my dad received some strange phone calls. Evan was not surprised at all. Don't mind him. Wait, you're back home? Yeah, I'm standing downstairs. I'll come to get something and leave. I won't go upstairs, don't worry. Evan quickly hung up the phone. My dad started calling Tanner's parents again. If she doesn't get along with Tanner Hill, I won't recognize her as my daughter. Mrs. Hill, rest assured, if she dares to come back, I'll break her legs. From now on, Tanner Hill will be her husband. Over the years, my feelings towards my father had worn thin. I bent down, searching through the garbage heap, finally finding that old photo. I wiped off the mud on the photo and walked into the snowstorm. On the street corner, I met a man in a black windbreaker. The streetlight cast his shadow long. Even though he wore a mask, it couldn't hide his superior features. Evan seemed to have been trudging through the snow for a long time, with snow on his shoulders and hat. He hurriedly walked towards me and hugged me tightly, breathing slightly heavily. Kira Depp, Happy New Year. There were no high-end restaurants in the Old Town area. Evan led me into a steaming noodle shop. He ordered a bowl of noodles for me, covered with large pieces of beef. How come you're here? I remembered that Evan's family had moved away many years ago. There shouldn't be any relatives left here. Evan ordered a bowl of fishball soup for himself and said lightly, I'm filming a variety show here. Have some noodles first. His eyes, in the misty steam, seemed to carry some hidden emotions, making my face flush. I moved my lips. Oh, okay. I silently slurped the noodles while Evan watched me. I'll be here for half a month. Do you have any plans? I'm about to leave soon. Yuri going back for the new year too? He frowned. Yeah, I have to prepare prepare for the postgraduate entrance exam. Evan aimlessly stirred the fish balls in the soup. I wiped my mouth. There are a lot of bad memories here. I don't want to stay. Back in high school, Lone Screen maliciously reported me. I wanted to defend myself, but so many years have passed, and there's no evidence. Now my dad is eager to sell me off for some dowry. My life has hit rock bottom. If I don't make a change, maybe this will be how my life turns out. I took a big bite of the beef. I spent 3 years re-enrolling in university. Another 3 years to save up for postgraduate studies. The next 3 years, I'm going to Stanford. Evan pressed down a fishball. I knew you has always been you. Nothing can change you. Those rumors and gossip could never hurt you. Are you afraid that being with me will affect your postgraduate studies? I felt a bit embarrassed. Yeah, but Evan smiled. No matter what, I support you. After having supper, Evan had to return to the set. I hailed a taxi and went to the station. Evan stood in the snow, wrapped in a scarf, lazily smiling. Hey, Kira Depp, when you go to Stanford, can you be with me? I thought for a moment. Let's talk about it then. After the new year, I started shuttling between 2 cities, looking for my desired mentor. On the day I received the mentor's email, I had just arrived home. I found someone standing in front of the door. It was Lone Screen. In these past few months, thanks to Evan, I also learned some things about the entertainment industry. Lone Screen seemed to have not been focusing on music recently, but rather on marketing her beauty. She acted in a few short dramas, all poorly received. She even terminated her contract with Evan's studio. Now, she was standing at my doorstep, still smiling. Long time no see, Kira. I was stunned, standing still on the steps. Why are you here again? Did I threaten you again? I asked. Lone Screen did not expect me to initiate a confrontation, and her smile faded. Are you out of your mind? Am I supposed to be afraid of you? If I remember correctly, you're not doing so well either. Music didn't work out, short dramas were a failure. It seems like you're not good at anything, I said thoughtfully. Lone Screen's mouth started twitching uncontrollably. She had to put in a lot of effort to force out a smile. Do you want me to repeat what happened in high school? How about saying it in front of the whole internet? She threatened. I blinked. Sure, go ahead. I closed the door in front of her. The next moment, I received the list of admitted students for Stanford Graduate School on my phone. I was on the list. The mentor earnestly instructed me over the phone. Don't get into conflicts recently, smoothly pass the admission period. I kept this sentence in mind. I didn't tell anyone about getting into Stanford, but Lone Screen wouldn't let me off. Halfway through the admission period, she suddenly mentioned my high school days in an interview. Oh, that incident caused quite a stir back then. When she should have been studying hard, she was with adults in the restroom. It was already lenient of the school not to publicly discipline her. Otherwise, our classmates from the autonomous enrollment would all be affected. After the show, Lone Studio created another wave of hot searches, marketing her image as a cold and aloof academic achiever. Her fans viciously mocked me. She dares to compete with Lone Screen for someone. What a joke. Community college girl. That's you, Kira Depp. Fortunately, this storm did not reach the academic circle. The mentor just casually inquired, with no further action. I endured until the last day of the admission period. Then, I picked up the phone and called the police.